What is up, guys? Marcus from Perspective Sports, and today we are going to be discussing the NFC West, and this is the second of 2 days in a row of back-to-back double uploads. Be sure to check out the channel tomorrow for the playoff reveal, and who will be the Super Bowl champions? I don't know. Actually, I do know. I just can't tell you because then you won't watch. Anyway. We're talking about the NFC West, the second best division in the NFL, in my opinion. I gave the number one title to the AFC West because I can see 3 teams winning that. I can only see 2 teams winning this one, but that's not the point. This is still a very, very tough division. And even for the Rams, who I don't have winning this division, they're going to be a tough out. And so when you look at the NFC West, over the last 5 years, each team has won the division at least one time. When you look over the last 12 years, every team in this division has been to a Super Bowl. They may not have won it, but they've been. And then when you look right now, they play host to 3 of the best minds in the sport. You have Sean McVay of the Rams, Kyle Shanahan of the 49ers, Pete Carroll of the Seahawks. So this division is tough. And so we're going to start with the 49ers, the defending champs of this division. They started off absolutely on fire. They started off 8-0 before dropping their first game to Seattle in overtime. They would go on after that game to lose 2 of their next 5. But then after that, they tightened up. They finished 13-3. They just absolutely dismantled the Minnesota Vikings and then just pulverized the Green Bay Packers en route to a Super Bowl against the Kansas City Chiefs, where they lost. But much like Kansas City, the rich got richer. And so when you look at their moves, they didn't do a ton, but they did the right things. And that just sounds exactly like Kansas City because these 2 teams played in the Super Bowl and pretty much had the same offseason in terms of productivity. They re-signed defensive tackle Eric Armstead and safety Jamie Ward. They somehow, some way hit 2 back-to-back home runs in the draft, selecting defensive tackle Javon Kinlaw with the 14th overall pick, and then selecting wide receiver Brandon Ayuk with the 25th overall pick. And so the 49ers are locked and loaded, and they are ready to go. And so they kept most of their core together, and then they added a whole lot of talent on top of it. This team is ready to go. But can Seattle stop them from winning the division? Because they had a good offseason too, and they have a good roster for themselves. They re-signed defensive tackle Jaron Reed and guard Mike Iupati. They signed tight end Greg Olsen, wide receiver Philip Dorsett, cornerback Quentin Dunbar. In the first round of the draft, they selected linebacker Jordan Brooks out of Texas Tech. In the second round, they selected defensive end Darrell Taylor out of Tennessee. And in the third round, they selected guard Damian Lewis out of LSU. And so I really like the Seahawks offseason move to add to their core that they already have. Remember, they still have DK Metcalf. They still have Tyler Lockett. They still have a lot of very good football players on this team. And they have a great defensive mind in Pete Carroll. But when you look at their schedule, they do have some tough stretches. From weeks 8 to 10, they'll be playing versus San Francisco, at Buffalo, at the Los Angeles Rams. And they'll end the season versus the Los Angeles Rams and at the San Francisco 49ers. So those could be 2 very important games to end the season for the Seattle Seahawks. And especially if they get through that week 8 to 10 stretch, the Seahawks could challenge the 49ers for this division. Up next, we have the Los Angeles Rams. And they have a good roster, a great coach in Sean McVay, but again, they're in a tough division, and when you look at the fact that they lost a lot of talent this offseason, they lost defensive end Dante Fowler, linebacker Corey Littleton, wide receiver Brandon Cook, safety Eric Weddle, running back Todd Gurley. They lost a lot. They did bring in some talent, defensive tackle Ashawn Robinson from Detroit, and linebacker Leonard Floyd from Chicago, and for not having a first-round draft pick, they did fantastic in the draft. In the second round, they selected running back Cam Akers out of Florida State and wide receiver Van Jefferson out of Florida. And in the third round, they selected safety Terrell Burgess out of Utah and edge rusher Terrell Lewis out of Alabama. And so if you put the Rams in a different division, I probably have them top 2, if not winning the division. But inside this division with this schedule, I mean, look at the schedule. The first 3 weeks of the season are versus Dallas, at Philly, at Buffalo. And then weeks 10 through 12 are versus Seattle, at Tampa Bay, versus San Francisco. This is a rough schedule, and I don't see them being able to survive that kind of grind in order to be contended for this division. And so I do have the Rams being competitive. They're going to win the games they're supposed to win, but I just don't have them being in position to win this division. Finally, we have the Arizona Cardinals, and I don't know if you've heard it, but I've heard a ton of excitement about the Arizona Cardinals. People are just really excited about this team, and I'm trying to tell them, calm down, because I understand they got DeAndre Hopkins, arguably the top receiver in the game, obviously top 3. However you want to put Michael Thomas, Julio Jones, that's up to you, but he's top 3. And so I know they got a really good draft pick, do-it-all defender Isaiah Simmons. I like the fact that they drafted Josh Jones, offensive tackle, in the third round. How was he still there? It beats me, but they got him. And so when I look at this team, it's nowhere near complete, number one, and it's nowhere near able to compete, number two. And just look at the schedule. Do people forget that they have to play 6 games against the 49ers, Seahawks, and Rams, 2 each? And let's just look at the schedule. Week 6 to 17. Week 6 at Dallas Monday night, followed by versus Seattle on a short week. They get a bye week, then they play versus Miami. Miami's going to be a lot tougher team than people expect. They're not going to be playoff ready or even close to the playoffs. They're going to be a tough team to beat. I really like what Miami's putting together down there. And then you have versus Buffalo. And then the rest of the season, at Seattle, at New England, versus the Rams, at the Giants. It's a cross-country trip, going to be cold. Versus Philadelphia, versus San Francisco, at the Rams. They're not going to be able to do anything. I like Kyler Murray, but they're not going to be able to do anything. And this is a very tough schedule for a second-year head coach and a second-year quarterback to have to play. And so I don't see the Arizona Cardinals being much of anything. Will they be interesting? Yes. Could they have some very exciting plays this year? Absolutely. But when I look at that schedule and I look at Arizona, I say more power to you, because that's just an unfortunate schedule, because that's tough. That's very tough. So I don't see the Arizona Cardinals being much of anything this year in terms of their record. Are they going to be exciting? Yeah. Will I watch Cardinals games? Probably. I like football, but I want to see how Kyler Murray develops. I like Isaiah Simmons. I like what they're putting together. But let's hit the brakes on the hype. Finally, we have our NFC West standings. Coming in at number 1, none other than the San Francisco 49ers at 12-4, 4-2 in the division. Number 2, we have the Seattle Seahawks at 11-5, 3-3 in the division. The Los Angeles Rams at 9-7, 4-2 in the division. And the Arizona Cardinals at 4-12, 1-5 in the division. Do you guys agree? What do you guys think? Maybe I'm too hard on the Cardinals. Do you think I'm being too hard on the Cardinals? I just look at that schedule and go, I don't see it happen. I don't see them winning many football games. I think 4 is about where they belong. And so let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Look forward to reading it. See you there.